Hey folks, how are we doing? Welcome to the new look Bloomspite Brushworks live stream. The artist formerly known as Moog presiding. Well, currently known as Moog, but in such a capacity that I'm not actually making world-renowned electronic synthesizers. Honest to God. Hey, Alistair. Hi, Tom. Hi, Monkey. Right, okay. As always, the software appears to have changed something, so which microphone are we on? Looks like that one over there. Okay, move that a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. How we doing? How's that? Audio good? Audio possibly good. Video good. Video good. Might have knocked that a little bit. I'll just have a bit of a shuffle around with that. Okay, cool. Excellent. Right, you can see I'm broadcasting. There are things on the screen. We are go. Yes, Blue Demon Brushworks, because Moog apparently makes synthesizers. Painting glasses? No, I'm painting with glasses. These are they 2.5 or are they 3? I think they're 3. cheapo reading glasses, which I use. You can get super fancy headbands with lenses on them and glass and lights and all sorts of stuff, but I find them cumbersome and uncomfortable. So I've just got a pair of plastic reading glasses. 3 times magnification helps me and my aged eyes see in order to paint. So, what we're going to paint today, we are going to paint some Boingrot boundaries that I started a long time ago. But I've got a couple of games coming up, hopefully, at the end of the month, next month. And I kind of want to get my army painted up and done. I don't know whether you've seen this guy before. I got him a while ago when he came out. It's just kind of warming to him, but I found him very, very boring to paint. I don't know why. Just I don't know what marks him out as being anything special other than a standard sort of square curd. But there we are. That's him. He's done. Needs to do his base a little bit. Okay, where to start? Let's start with the painted ones. Let's put them aside for a bit. What have I been doing this week? I have been mainly, this week, I have been mainly painting Horus Heresy. For those who have been following the channel for a while, will know that I've been painting Iron Hands. These are my veterans that I've been working on. There's no set way of denoting veterans for Horus Heresy, so I've opted for red shoulder pads, which I've seen done somewhere. And I like the look of it. So I think it's a nice and distinct. They're also in Mark III. Most of my other Marines are in Mark VI, because that's what you get with the Heresy box set. So that's them. I've also managed to almost complete this thing, which I am rather proud of. So that will be trundling some things into battle, no doubt. Probably my Terminators. Yeah, the red light doesn't look as good on camera. Well, it doesn't look particularly good in person, but it looks better in person than it does on camera. So, got to shuffle that. Nice bit of weathering on that. That's mostly pigment work, that. Right. Where should we start? He's mostly done, so maybe if we get him finished off, then we can set him aside. So those of you who are veterans to the channel know that I do most of my work with contrast paints and then gussy it up a bit later. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's pick out these little mushrooms. I think he's mostly done. Yeah, looking at him, he's all shaded and highlighted and everything. So I think once this is done, we can set him aside. Well, that was quick. See you next week. Right. Okay. Okay, so he's got the green on his hands. He hasn't, none of the others have, so we can demonstrate how that's done. Again, those of you who are regulars to the channel, which is all of you, I would imagine. Tom Hughes, I don't see you very often, but I'm sure you're a regular. Which Tom are you? You're one of the Toms on Say Hi Paul's Discord, I dare say. Moderator Tom or other Tom? Or another Tom completely? You're the orange name Tom, right? Okay, I know who you are now. It's okay, you can stay. Right, okay, so we have, this is the base coat of Luxion Purple. Yeah, I know. And this is a not very well shaken pot of Tesseract glow. So I'm just going to give that another bit of a shake. There we go. And this straight over the purple, desaturates it. This works just as well for orc skin. In fact, works very, very well for orc skin. Did I paint my commandos this way? I think I did. It was either Tesseract Glow I used, or it was Plague Bearer Flesh. Oh. That's not working as well as it normally does. Maybe it's the new formulation of the paint. So, got some old stuff here. Well, I'm glad to have you, Tom. Hopefully it will stir up some hobby mojo, but if it doesn't, you know, it's just hobby. You know, it's not a job. Ah, there's one of my commandos. Looks like, yeah, I'd say that was probably done with Plague Bearer Flesh over the purple. Right, so that's some of the old Tesseract Glow formulation. Listen, you can see it's a little bit thicker. Maybe that's just not shaken up enough. Oh nuts! That means I might have to change my my recipe. But what this does, which I like, is it creates a kind of a mottled skin. Which you'll probably see a lot better if you ever try it in person. It's getting a little bit washed out on the camera, unfortunately. I would suggest giving this a try, because the effect is quite striking. It creates quite a good table-ready base coat. If this was the only step you were going to take for your goblin skin, it would be alright, and better than some. So it's a bit of a speed painting technique, I guess. Bit of a hack, I suppose, if you will. But I wouldn't say it's cheating. Because there are no cheats in this hobby. If you find a better, more efficient, easier way of doing something that creates an effect you are happy with, then great, you are not cheating. You are efficiently hobbying. One of the greatest resources we have at the moment is time. You can do anything with time. I mean, you can paint miniatures to Golden Demon standard with time, I guess. If that's how you want to spend your time. I don't particularly. So I paint for the table to what I hope most would agree is a fairly decent tabletop standard, and this is how we accomplish that. Shortcuts and cheats. I'll pop in that. Grab another one, pop him to the side as well, seeing as he's also done. Yeah, I think it kind of does need to be the old formulation of the Tesseract Glow, which is a real shame. So if you've got some, definitely give it a go. If you've got some of the new formulation, I would suggest you shake it. Shake the absolute bejesus out of it and then do it again, because this settles way more than that does. So they've changed something with the formulation. It's just bonkers. So you want a fairly thick consistency, really, or thicker than that, thicker than the new formulation gives you anyway, when it hasn't been shaken up enough. So basically what I'm saying is, shake your paint. Oh, did I turn the music on? Is there music? Somebody tell me if there's music. If there's no music, I'll turn the music on. It's a lot better than just listening to me witter. I would like to think it accentuates. Music stopped. Oh. That better? Properties, looping. Yeah, okay, that should be working. Or just got turned down low, one or the other. Yeah, it is kind of low. I mean, I can turn it up a little bit, but I don't want to. There we are. Yeah, this track's or this playlist is a little bit quieter than the metal I normally play, so we set a bit there. I say normally, occasionally. Must not forget ears. I always forget the ears. There's two of them, one on either side of his head, and I always forget to paint them. Oh, oops. If I don't do that at least once every live stream, there's something wrong. Bandage on his nose. Not right that yet though. Glow on the mini. Yeah, bit of electro swing, always good. That's his skin done. I'm over there as well. There's loads to do on the squigs to raise their game a little bit. Should we go next? Right, I'm missing a bit of purple on the other ones. So I'm bring them up so they're actually ready to go on the green. So like some purple. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of contrast medium in there as well. Getting to the end of your admit box. Well, I suppose it's a bit of a, because they were your first army, weren't they? Or aren't they really? So I suppose it's a bit. Could be a bit odd. Now you come into the end of the project. Yeah, I kind of get that. Purple is a weirdly good colour for a lot of purposes actually, because it creates some nice deep shadows that you can work in. Decent magenta is a good place to start for flesh, because you get a nice translucent effect off it, which is the same sort of thing I'm working on with this. You get that vaguely translucent effect. Almost make that out. It's kind of translucent. I'll put some decent pictures of these up when I'm done on the old Discord. My Discord, that is, Tom. But you're welcome to join, as is anyone else. Well, how do the select few do? The select few who watch my channel and look at the channel description, and indeed the video description, because I think it's in there as well. You don't even have to support me on Patreon or anything to join it. Not that I have a Patreon at the moment. That's a whole other story. Oh, they did annoy me. Right. Okay, that's the purple done on them. Let's get my raggy. Clean that off there. Right, so black rogues, we are going with black Templar because it's kind of a very dark grey rather than out and out black. If you start with a black, there's not much you can do shading wise. That's kind of your lot, and you're then kind of restricted to highlights, which isn't the easiest thing to do with black. black template, it's a dark grey. Which means I can slap some Nuln Oil over this if I want to deepen the shadows, or I can go in with Black Legion to deepen the shadows, and I can work it in both directions basically. That's a breastplate. I didn't notice that was a breastplate, but that is definitely a breastplate. I have an other colour for that. Regulars to my channel will know what that colour is, so I use it on all my metals, pretty much. So I'm sure Salastar will come out with it in a moment. Work this now with what we're busy painting. Painting? I'm here painting for your very amusement, and you're painting yourself. Oh, shocking behaviour. The paint I use on all my metals, Salastar, that one. See if you've been paying attention. He has been paying attention. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Garax, whether that was a lucky guess. It's quite edifying to notice that people actually listen. It does indeed go with most things. You're absolutely right, Salastar, and I'm glad you're using it. Was that on my suggestion by any chance, or had you stumbled to that earlier? Nice suggestion. Wow, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is officially where I became an official influencer, because I have influenced somebody. Ah! I use it for weathering over an existing metal or as a brushing. Both. Literally both. It is a fantastic weathering colour for... Are you painting Imperial Fists, Tom, or did I completely imagine that? Because it's a very good chipping colour for yellows in particular. Well, maybe now's the time to start. Because now you know how to chip it like a pro. Gargax sewer. I'll show you what I mean in a minute, actually. Is he still in here? Oh. Or did I put him somewhere else? I might have taken him through to the other room. I did have an Imperial Fist somewhere, but I can't see him. But you see what this Black Temple has done is it's again, the camera's making it look very washed out. it's doing what contrasts do basically, and it's creating little areas of shade and highlight, so it's not sort of as uniform as the Black Legion is. Makes it a useful little speed paint. Ah, right, okay. Right. That's how I start getting you mixed up with Tom for reasons I can't fathom. Yeah, Garagak Sewer is a good base for most metals, and you absolutely can use it for weathering and muck. Kind of avoiding painting the hoods on these guys because I want to paint those, because I've got two units of Boingrot bounders here and I want to tell them apart somehow. I mean, generally I'll play them as one unit, I think, because they're only like 10, but they come in units of 5, so I want some way of splitting them out again, and I think different coloured hoods probably the way forward, because otherwise they're going to look pretty similar. It also makes it a lot easier to decorate the hoods and give them a little bit of individual flair, like I've done with this guy. He's got the black flames on his hat. Corrected a little mistake there.
Well, until you set up a Patreon, I will have to use this, and maybe be a Patreon this way.
Thank you very much, Monkey. Yeah, I did have a Patreon for a while, but what was happening, I had rewards on the Patreon, but what was happening is it was taking the subs that I was getting in and using them to pay for Patreons that I was supporting. So the money wasn't actually going towards the rewards that people were, person singular, was hoping to get from the Patreon, so it wasn't ideal. So the person in question didn't actually get their merchandise. They did in the end, because I found out what was happening and I honoured it, but yeah, the way they handle money isn't ideal. Well, thanks very much for that, Monk, honestly. You're my staunchest supporter. So if I wanted to set up a Patreon again, what I would have to do is start another account for the Blue Demon Brushworks, which has no connection to my existing Patreon that I use for sponsoring. That would be the way I'd have to do it. But they didn't actually tell me that that's what was going to happen, so it was months in before I realised it. When I asked the person if they'd actually had their merch yet, and they said no. That's really bad because it makes me look bad. So this is Garagaxua, and you can see it's a sort of a deep, rich brown, which dries in a very sort of almost leathery kind of way. Some more light on the subject, or less light. Let's see if I can sort that camera out. Turn off low light compensation, that might stop the flare a little bit. Maybe if we turn on autofocus. I don't like autofocus because it seems to focus on the wrong things all the time, but I'll give it a go. See what I mean? Yeah, that's why I don't go with autofocus. There we are. That's what I normally go with. So the miniatures on the table will be out of focus, but the ones I'm holding will be slightly better. So you can see there that the Garagaxua is a nice rich brown colour. Also sort of rusty, bronzy, mucky metal colour, which is good under gold, it's good under bronze, especially good under bronze, it's good under copper, it's good under steel, whatever you want. Shrimp gumbo, shrimp fricassee, shrimp sandwich. So this is going on all the metal. Yes, Monkey, I think I prefer the tips as well. I'll be honest, the tip system I'm using, they take a little bit of a cut, but it's nowhere near what Patreon takes. Nowhere near. It's also nowhere near what YouTube takes for super chats. Which YouTube I would absolutely use if you would let me, but apparently no. I need people to watch my channel. I need actual subs and things. So if you're watching this and you haven't subbed, please sub. You'll notice that I won't beg. I don't beg. But it pays to remind people that if they're watching something, you know, it doesn't cost anything to sub. and like and comment and tell your friends and all that good stuff. And I know Nerd Storyteller will leave a comment, he always does. He's good like that. Not like you lot though. You lot don't leave comments or anything after the fact. No. You just comment on the live stream. And all that does is promote it in the algorithm and tell more people that I'm live streaming. So yeah, that's quite helpful. Carry on doing that. Oh, so hyped for 10th. So hyped. So hyped. Anyone else hyped for 10th? I know some people are. I know some people are because I am. I'm some people. In fact, anyone who's in the Say Hi Poll Discord will know that I'm hyped. Very hyped for 10th. Yes. Very well be my way back into 40k. Because I think this is the reason. It could just be that I'm getting old. Fairly early doors in the pandemic, I came down with COVID. Not particularly badly. I mean, I was feverish and not very well, but I wasn't not well enough to be in hospital. And I was out for a good 2, 3, 4 weeks. I don't remember really how long it was, but ever since I've really struggled with maintaining concentration and remembering things. Short term, long term I'm okay, but short term, tell me something, there's a good chance I'll have forgotten it moments later. And it's the same with reading things and memorising information. I'd not played any Warhammer since 1994, possibly was my last game before the pandemic. I was very much out of it while I was at uni, and a good time thereafter because I never really got back into it. It was the pandemic that got me back into it, like so many people who do these live streams and YouTube things. They were lured back after a hiatus by the inability to do anything else, basically. So my inability to really focus on much following my stint of COVID. I know correlation doesn't imply causation, but it was too much of a coincidence for it not to be considered. Not being able to remember things and getting easily distracted, very much like that, just there. Means it's very hard for me to play 40k, 9th ed 40k, because I was finding when I'd look up a stat or something in the rulebook. Now the rulebooks, they're not designed to have things looked up in them at all. But I'd look up a stat in a rulebook and I'd put the book down, walk back to the table to roll dice and completely forget what the stat was. And things like stratagems, not a hope. Not a hope. So when you see me playing 40k on Paul's stream, I'm getting an awful lot of off-camera support, for which I am very, very grateful to those responsible for that off-camera support. Because I don't know if any of you are familiar with having any kind of mental issue that affects your cognitive processes, your memory and such. But you don't half feel like an idiot when you can't remember something. It's awful. It just adds to the stress of it all. But since I found Age of Sigmar and their war scrolls that they have, little cards with all the stats and everything on it, I find I'm able to play that a lot easier than I could 40k, and that seems to be the direction of travel for 10th 40k. If it is, that's me a very happy bunny. Yeah, I have sympathy for anyone who really. I mean, I have it. It comes and goes. Sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm not. I wouldn't say I struggle with it on a daily basis particularly, but when I have attacks, it's quite. I can't really concentrate on much at all, and it's not a lot of fun. Certainly not. I'm about to demonstrate exactly how good metal looks over Garagak's sewer. I'm about to make you a convert, Tom. Well, particularly how I paint metal anyway, which isn't how most people paint metal. I have a very, should we say, minimalist approach to it. Because a lot of people will go in and they will block in all the metal and then wash it and highlight it. I tend to let the eyes do an awful lot of the work and your brain do an awful lot of the work, and it will, because that's what it's programmed to do, and it will fill in even if you put a minimal amount of metallic paint on something, it will fill in the rest, and the whole thing will sell as metal. It's really quite clever. Your brain is really quite clever in what it does on a daily basis without really thinking about it. Maybe just thinking about it, I don't know. Not consciously thinking about it. And the amount of stuff it does without you really being conscious of it makes it all the more apparent when it stops doing those things properly. A blob of metal on the end there, nice stuff. We're bumping people on the noggin. Missing bits all over the place, but I have a way to catch all that. And that way, get my brown sauce, which is a great catch-all. It gets into all the crevices, all the crooks and nannies, and dulls down all those annoying grey bits that show through. think that's all the metal bits. What's coming up on the underside of his arm there? What does that need to be? I think we'll go with the black for that. This is what I mean, you end up going back over your miniature and noticing all the bits you missed. I think it's a painting thing, you missed a bit. Whether it's a wall or a miniature, you'll always miss bits. Okay, put the black temple away unless we're going to go at those ones. We'll see where we are for time. Get at least some of the squigs done. Some of them are painted, some of them aren't. And this guy's painted. And you can see that he's got highlights and all sorts of stuff on him. This guy, not so much. So we'll maybe do him. Or that one. Or that one. Oh! That guy. Who can remember a while ago, says the guy who was just talking about not really having much in the way of memory, and I said I painted one of my squigs with that. And I think it's this dude. Those are the old formulation speed paints, the ones that have bleed through issues. But once you're aware of that, you can work with it, and it's actually quite a useful tool. Clean. You're going to grab, now shall we go yonder yellow or shall we go Nasdrag? This is the question. Oops, clunk. I think I've got a Yandon there. Nasdrag's a much deeper, more browny yellow. Let's see how that looks. Put some water on there. Let's put that out of the way. I mean, if nothing else, my channel's a good way of getting the lowdown on what is and isn't a good contrast paint. Oh yeah, I've just bought a load of magnets. I keep buying magnets because I keep forgetting that I've bought them. So I've got quite a few magnets. But weirdly, because I don't think I ever actually have magnets when I come to use magnets, very little of my stuff is actually magnetised. So that's Nasdrag. And straight out of the bottle, I think that's a really nice goblin yellow. So I think we'll do that from now on. That'll work well, really well on Horus Heresy or Imperial Fists as well. I think it's a bit too grimy for 40k because 40k Imperial Fists tend to be a little bit cleaner, because they do even less than they did during the Horus Heresy. Because all they did during the Horus Heresy, I'm sure everyone agrees, is just sit at the back with all the gear. In the rear with the gear, waiting for the war to come to them. Rather than getting stuck in like the real legions. Isn't that right, Alistair? It's all gone quiet over there. Because he knows it's true. Rogel Yawn and all his little yellow sons. Still, at least they can keep their head in the fight, which is more than you can say for Ferris Man, I say. No straight yellow. That's again the old formulation, but straight out of the bottle. It's just beautiful. Ah, beautiful. Right. What we're going to do now is we're going to reach for not the Gorgon fur. No, never the Gorgon fur. Well, unless you want to use Gorgon fur, in which case always a Gorgon fur, but not in this particular case because I don't want to use Gorgon fur. I want to use snake bite leather. All these little booties and things to paint.
I mean the kind of music men hum or whistle when they feel on top of the world. And gentlemen, one of the many things that give you that tip-top feeling is the pleasure of being well-dressed.
It's just easy. This is contrast paints doing what they're designed for, which is getting everything out of the board so that we can go on the table. You can absolutely go back in and highlight things and sort of shade things after the fact, which is what I've done with some of these guys. What I've done with a lot of the rest of the army, but if you're just looking for completion, use the contrast paints. Get on the way forward. And in no way cheating. See you, Tom. Have fun. Thanks for dropping by. Same time next week. It's a little bit lighter than the Garagak sewer, but I'm not particularly worried. So I'm going to have some type paint over it in a minute. No, he's not stuck around for that, has he? Oh, Tom. Oh, I'll have to post things on the Discord showing. So there's no leather on that guy. So I'll pop that aside. He's had his boots already painted. He has got that little bandage type thing on his nose, so we'll just scooch that in with snake bite leather. That's what I'll do to this guy's mushroom bindings. That's a little better. I need to do something with the details when it's happening, but that's a later problem. For now, properly. Somewhere else, just over there. A tiny bit of organising, organised chaos in here. Oh, steel. And I bought this, which is the steel version of the duraluminum I usually use for most of my metals. And I got this because it's darker than the duraluminum without me having to add inks, and it's just perfect for iron hands over black. I'm just going to use that for, I mean, you can barely see that against the dark palette. And it's got ever such a slight sort of rusty kind of off tone to it. We're just gently dry brushing this over the metal areas, mainly concentrating on the ridges, but we're not particularly worried about being neat. We don't want complete coverage. It will, because of the Garrigax sewer, that sets up a natural sort of patina for the metal. The light brush strokes with the metal over that will sell as scratches and exposed fresh metal. So you can get an awful lot from very little. And you end up with a much more interesting looking metal doing it this way. And if you haven't tried that, I would suggest doing so. It may well change your life. In a sort of very limited, small, hobby-related kind of way. It's not going to win you the lottery or anything. Like Barry White, because he can change your life. Get you back with your ex-wife. It's me showing my age there. And possibly getting a copyright hit, who knows? I don't know how litigious Barry White is, or indeed whoever it was that sang that song. Why, monkey? Why did you do that? Why? Why? The drill does not go in the fleshy bits. The flesh is weak. Enthusiastic drilling. Well, title of your sex tape. possibly a bitchery. Do be careful. So we're getting some progress done on these guys. So we're about to start going on the squigs and the teeth and all that good stuff. I see there's much more I can do to this guy. You can see how that's slightly different shade to the splodges down on the metal bits on this helmet. See, that's where I could have demonstrated the power of Garagax sewer in weathering up yellow. So I may yet do that, because I dare say Tom will be back to watch the end of it. And if he doesn't, well, I'm afraid he's going to miss out. And that's just the way life goes sometimes. Garagax sewer. And a thin-ish brush. Just the tip. Again, title monkey sex tape. And you're just sort of spotting that around the edges. Almost like you're edge highlighting, but you're kind of not edge highlighting, you're darkening it down. And this works really well on power armour. Salistar. So around all the edges of those leg plates, and I've got a spare marine somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, so into the recesses of. Just dot it around the edge of the leg plates and the knee pads and all around there. It just works. Here, for example, there's got a few stripes and nicks on there as well. So if I just gently. Because Garagax sewer is slightly transparent, you get that sort of thinning paint kind of effect around the edges of the darker splodges as well. And if you've got the edges highlighted with dawn yellow as well, it just sets it all off.
It was up in Mike the other night. That was really quite a sight. You gather around, folks, I give you all the lowdown. It's a mess too. Tables are filled with gaudy frails chewing on their fingernails. They were waiting for the man from Harvard.
Idea for an Omni Specs. Does it involve drilling? I'm afraid I'm going to have to ban you from drilling. Right. Just glue. Right. Is there anything you can glue yourself to in there? Because we won't be doing that either. Right. Okay, which of these? Left or right? Left, right, left, right. Right. Okay, what did that one? I'll do them all eventually, but we know how this goes. Is he missing the tip of his toe? That might be deliberate. Okay. I'm missing a bit of the red paint around his foot there, so we'll just fill that in. I don't think this was the paint I used, but it won't matter. I think this might be magenta actually, rather than red. It'll be red soon. Get a bit of shading done with this while we've got it. And just in the deeper areas, we're just going to stick some of this. This is flesh hair as red. So, some of the divots in the squig skin are more defined than others, and that's what we're mainly aiming for with this. Lower edge of some of the knobbly bits. So basically what I'm doing here is accentuating the shading that the previous layer of contrast paint has already done. So whereas I think I used Doomfire Magenta for this. Yeah, I think that was the base colour. I'm just accentuating and deepening the shadows. Under the goblin's going to be in shadow as well. So already, I mean, with a little bit of shading, it's already started to pick out some of the detail in more definition than when it started, which is what I'm going for. Go. I'm going to hit this with a wash at some point. And I think what we're probably going to use for that is Berserker Bloodshade. We're not going to do that quite yet, because washes are good for blending in colours. Where's that coming in? This is corn red. I think this might actually be deeper than. Yeah, I'm not going to use corn red. I'm going to go straight to Mephiston, I think. going to get out something I don't often play with. And what it sounds like when I got a paintbrush in my mouth. For anyone who's wondering, this is exactly what it sounds like. So we're going to go with, no, not that, Persistent Red. Which is a lovely red, ever so slightly desaturated. I'm just going to stick some of that down there. Get a bit of, ooh, running out of the old Lamy and medium. I think I need to get some more of that. In fact, we won't use that. We'll use something I've got a bit more of, which is, where are you? Matte medium. Same stuff. This is from Viejo. Pop a bit of that down. It's actually a little bit thicker, sorry, than the Lamy medium. That's something of which to be aware. I'm just going to pop a little bit of water down in a dish. I'm going to turn that base colour into a layer. A bit of medium, a bit of paint, tiny spot of water. Layer consistency. And we're just going to start picking out the raised areas. Kind of a blocky kind of way. Not too worried about precision at this point, but we are going mainly on the upper areas. So as well as we went for the underside with the Flesh Terrors red, we're going for the upper side with the Mephiston. And I think I'm teaching Grandmaster to suck eggs here. Then that particular bit of advice wasn't for you. We do have the occasional new player and painter watch this channel, and I do try to pitch to as many levels as I can. If there's anyone watching who is new to painting, new to the channel, I'm more than happy to answer questions. If you drop them in the comments, or drop them in the chat if you're here right now. I'll do my best to answer them. Like I say in the channel description, I'm not a pro painter. I don't think I'm ever likely to be a pro painter. I've no real ambition in that way. I don't particularly have any interest in winning Golden Demons. I'm never going to win the Golden Demon, I don't think, with my painting skill, but I'd like to think I've got a little bit of game when it comes to painting, and sometimes it helps having an enthusiastic amateur helping you through steps rather than some of these other painters on YouTube who are very good, but pitch at a higher level. So that's my niche, I think. Beginner to intermediate. So thinning the paints like this makes them translucent, so you can slowly build up the layers, which is what these layer paints are formulated to do. They're thinner than the base paints and slightly more translucent, not as translucent as the contrast paints. And they're designed to be built up in thin layers, one on top of the other, to build colour and intensity and highlights. So I'm just going around picking out the upper edges with all the folds in this thing's skin. Creating contrast between that and the deeper colour I use to go into the recesses. Which will help to make the miniature pop on the background. And the reason you use a thinner paint for that is so that you get smoother transitions between the colours, where you're layering up layer on layer. If you're worried about that kind of thing, I'm not really, and stark transitions can work from time to time, but for the purposes of this demonstration building up slowly. So I think we've done about all we can with that. So I'm just going to get some Eagle Sun Scarlet, which is already formulated for layering. We're also going to thin that down a bit. A bit of a medium, and I'm going to mix in a bit of previous red. Mephiston, that was it. That's probably what I do think. A bit of water. There should be a subtle transition between that and the previous layer, and it's going on now. If you're careful, you can do a lot of this fairly quickly with the side of your brush rather than the tip of your brush. Because the side of your brush will naturally find the ridges if you get the angle right. as we all know, it's often a case of finding the right angle, otherwise things become very uncomfortable. Oh, it's an early start. Well, thanks for dropping by, Monkey, and thanks an awful lot for the tip. That was really nice of you. Thanks very much. I'll see you next week, I guess. Or I'll see you in a Discord chat somewhere, no doubt. An awful lot sooner than that. This is when I find out there's nobody else actually watching. Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind. Small YouTube channel, but perfectly formed. Define watching. Yeah, exactly. Listening to me prattle whilst painting counts. I mean, if it didn't, I wouldn't have anyone watching my stream at all, so it has to count. Right, so that's the mix done. So we're just going to go with straight Evil Sons now. Just going to stipple this slightly. Which is often a good idea with skin. It can reduce the appearance of brush strokes and creates a sort of a mottled look to the skin, a bit more mottled. Struggling to see what effect this is having, but again, I think struggling for a decent camera now. Spare 300 quid that I want to drop on the camera, 400 quid, how much they cost these days for a decent streaming camera. I guess they cost whatever you want to spend on it. At the moment I'm using a Logitech C something or other, which is a good entry level. But it's still chunky enough that I can blame bad painting on it, which is useful for me. So I'm just going round and I'm blotching in slightly smaller areas of the raised upward facing sections of the model, the lumps and the bumps. I'm using slightly more stipple motion because it helps blend things in. Stipple motion, that's not even a word. It's making up words now. Stippling motion. Stippling motion. Stippling motion. There we are. Stipula. A stipular motion. I'm not going to go too much to town on his lips because I'm going to do something else with that. We're almost done with that. I'm just going to go in with a bit of Wild Rider Red, which looks alarmingly orange. However, once you get it on the miniature, it just works for red highlights. So I'm just going to pull a bit of this red, mix it with a bit of the Wild Rider. Tiny bit of water. There's still medium and all sorts in there. Thin that down a bit. Things should really start to pop now. Even on this ropey camera you can start to see the highlights coming through. Again, I'm sort of half using brush strokes, half stippling. This is absolutely not something you need to do on every single infantry or cavalry miniature in your army. At all, at all, at all. I'd normally only go to this level on a character, but seeing as I'm doing a live stream and wanting to demonstrate some techniques, I thought, well, we might as well. See how that's starting to pop now. So Salastar, are you going to be at Crimson Conflict? Do you even have an AOS army? This is the question. And if not, why not? To both of those questions. Too far north? far north? Where are you, France? Midlands, it's not north. Southwest London, alright, yes, France. So he's not denying it, folks. He knows I'm right. Anything south of the Thames is multicultural. Well, it's all multicultural, and that's a really good thing. It's one of the things I do like about London, actually. One of the few things is how multicultural it all feels, and how many different languages you hear just walking around. It's wonderful. Still, in fact. Used to go out with a girl who lived in Clapham, or Clam, as the locals tried to call it, which is I don't know whereabouts in London that is actually, but she was French, apropos of absolutely nothing. Quite a sizable French community in Clapham. Surprising. Right. He's looking good and highlighted, so what we're going to do is we're going to tie that all together with a shade. And for that we're going to use Berserker Blood Shade, because I've not got any Carabao Crimson, which is what I'd normally use. And again, I'm mainly going towards the underside and deepening shadows with this. I'm not going to soak the entire miniature in this stuff. We're just deepening shadows. What the pros tend to call a pin shade. That's going to do is bring everything together, create even more contrast between light and shadow, and really make it pop. As you can see, it's starting to come out on the camera, and nothing comes out on the camera. Weirdly, Salastar, I know exactly where you're coming from on that. I live in Nottingham, and I manage to get by without a car most of the time. There are certain situations where having a car would make my life a lot easier, but generally I get around on public transport and don't have a problem. And London public transport system is somehow still probably one of the best in the world. So yeah, I can absolutely understand how a Londoner could and would even find it desirable to go without a car. Things are expensive, especially in London. So that's popping good now. So what we're going to do now is, oops, roll up my sleeves a tiny bit. And we're going to get a bit of this squig orange, which is another layer paint. And remember I said I had something to do with the lips, this is what I'm going to do. So just on the raised areas of the lips, I'm just going to a bit of the squig orange. Downward strokes. So any splaying of the hairs will kind of sell as micro lines on the actual lips themselves. Let's give it another quick coat. Just a little bit. Put it down a little bit. Side of the top lip as well, because it's one of their characteristic features of the squig is the mouth, so you want to try and draw as much attention to that as you can. And you do that by creating contrast. The teeth are going to do an awful lot of the work for you, but you really can help the situation with the lips. I need this is Tan Flash from Acryl. I have no idea what Games Workshop colour this would be equivalent to. There are plenty of charts out there that would tell you. I would suspect something like Kislev Flash. I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on the palette. Leave the pot open and let the paint run back down into the tube. actually, it might be akin to... No, it's darker than the palette wedge.
I mean the kind of music men hum or whistle when they feel on top
A little bit lighter than Rattler,
One of the many things that give you that zip-up
but that's fairly
is
close.
the pleasure of being well dressed.
Mix these two together, just darken it down a bit. That looks like the thing. Really, I'm getting into Pro Acryl. They're a bit powdery if you're dry brushing. Generally, they're a good solid paint. I would recommend at least having some of their range. What I've done this year, I made myself a bit of a promise that I would improve my face painting, as I've gone for a load of flashy kind of colours, both light and dark, so we will see how things improve. So far I've done very few paints, of paint the faces that aren't goblin, so yay for New Year's resolutions, eh? I like these because the pigment's really nice, dense. They flow very well. They take water well as well. So again, I'm sort of spotting highlights around the lips. This should end up with kind of a glistening wet lip kind of effect. I'm not going to push the highlights too much more. I want to get in and do those gums before I run out of time. Gums and teeth. I'm going to get the squid done, basically. Squiggy Rooney. Squiggy Squiggy. The gums and teeth are where we find another use for the Luxon purple. Gums, the colour of gums is, as one might expect, largely dictated by the colour of the creature's blood. So there is nothing saying that your creature's gums have to be pink. And a sort of bluey purpley blood would result in bluey purpley gums, which creates contrast. Again. Where did I put my pen? How I did. And it sells into the whole sort of weird alien monstery kind of vibe to the squig. And as discussed earlier, purple is a really good shadow colour anyway, so it doesn't really matter. See how I'm going between the teeth and the lips with the purple here, because I know it will nestle in there and just deepen the shadows. And even if I go contrast paint. It's not really going to read as purple, it's just going to deepen those shadows. So it's a really useful paint, useful colour is purple. People need to use it more often. It complements the yellow really well as well, purple. So you'll see a lot of people going with the yellow and purple kind of theme to their Gloomspite Gitz. There's the base colour laid down for that. Use a bit of Fulgrim pink, which is again at the blue end of the pink spectrum. It's definitely a cold pink as opposed to pink horror, which is like a warmer pink. And that will mix quite happily with a little bit of the Fulgrim purple. Luxon purple to create a mid-tone. I'm just going to start picking out the gums. Should really be waiting for this to dry a bit more. The paint is still wet on the miniature, but it's actually helping because it's creating a bit of a wet blending scenario. Say I would absolutely not normally take this much care over rank and file troops. Actually, Boingrots are elite. Okay, maybe I would. Boingrots are the veterans of the Squighopper forces. Because generally what these goblins do is they climb aboard the squig, grab on, and just try to hang on. They have very little control over where the squig is going. The squig goes where it wants and they just hang on and do a lot of screaming, one would assume. But the Boingrots are mad to the point where they think they can exert slightly more control over the squig. And they start dressing as knights, picking up lances, and kind of getting into it and enjoying the ride. Their big thing is either to chase down the Bad Moon and, depending on which one you're talking to, devour it, or jump over it, or enslave it to their will, or do something with the Bad Moon, but they're always chasing the Bad Moon. That is their thing. Where's it going? Oh, it's teeth. Teeth. Right, okay, I might use a bit of Agaros tunes at this point. So before I do that, I'm going to use a bit of that tan flash and just block in the teeth. I want tan flash because I've got it out and it saves me getting out something like Wraithbone or something like that. It's a generic light colour and it's a good base for the Agaros tunes which I'm about to put on it, which is a yellow, browny yellow. And we'll build up the teeth back from that. Students. This is a slightly yellower version of Skeleton Rifle. Very similar colours. More of this towards the base. So we can tuck that in. Of the teeth, next to the gums. Here the odd tooth that's completely Agaros tunes. That's fine. Because I can't imagine the Squig's dental plan is that great. So they're going to get a whole load of plaque and all sorts of stuff being around the base of the tooth. Yeah, the Squig's dental plan probably is to eat the dentist and floss with the remains. Ivory. This is pretty much Wraithbone. And whilst that contrast paint is still kind of wet, I'm going to draw down from the tip of the tooth towards the base. Sort of blend them together. I left it a little bit too long. Never mind. So I'm going to come back over this with some brown sauce in a minute, which will tie everything together. Yeah, I initially set myself a challenge of making these look a little bit more studio-like than most of my other stuff. And I think I've mostly stuck with that, I think. I'll let viewers decide how successful I've been. But I think, I mean, you've seen some of my other stuff, and I think these are generally a lot brighter and cleaner than my other offerings. just going to try and blend those together a little bit. Try and soften that transition. There we go. Lovely. When we're using a thin down, usually contrast paint like that, we tend to refer to it as either filtering or glazing. We're usually glazing than filtering, but it's the same general technique. You're using a thin, transparent layer of paint to tint the layer beneath, to either get more depth of colour or create shading, or to vary the colour for, I don't know, if there's reflected light off the surface, you could do that with a glaze or a filter. Just going to pop some of this Berserker Blood shade in the eye sockets. Which creates a bit of depth around the eye there. That's what we're looking for. Then, actually first, before we do that, I'm just going to use a bit of this, just Scarston grain. And mix a bit of Tesseract glow in with that. I'm just going to go around with a little bit of highlighting on the goblin skin, to make that pop a bit more. So we're looking at knuckles, side of that hand where it's catching the light, side of his fingers, skin pop a little bit more, the end of his nose, top of his ears, which is going to make them pop out, cheekbones, I know how terrifying that looks to a new painter. Don't be frightened, just go at it. The worst you're going to do, the worst that's going to happen is you'll end up not liking it, and you can do it again and again and again and again, and that's how we get better. Fail faster. The best bit of advice I can possibly give to a new painter asking for critique on a miniature they've just painted is paint another one. Paint another one. You will naturally learn lessons painting your miniatures far quicker than I could ever impart. Skeleton Horde, let's get on that on the skull on the base. We are about to call this done because I'm running out of time. But what I have yet to do before it gets used on the table is that final bit of tie together shading with my brown sauce, which I've discussed many times on this live stream. Just watch another live stream, you will find out what that is and how to make it and how to use it. There we go. And the other thing that needs is, you know those expensive Games Workshop paints with the textures in them? Yeah, don't buy them. Because for twice the price you can get that. So that's $8.99. And this is basically still in mud. And you can scoop that out with your... This is the only Games Workshop tool I actually recommend getting, and that's the terrain tool. Scoop that out with that, lay it down all over the base, and then paint it whatever colour you want. I'm going for a cave floor base from these guys. So, I'm quite happy with them. For the amount of time I spent doing him and explaining everything to you guys, I've got to paint the entire unit in that sort of time. So yeah, quite happy with that. He will see the field at the Crimson Conflicts at the Edda Bay. Yeah. Cool. I hope you guys like the new, I was going to say new format, it's a similar format to what it always was, but the new branding and everything like that. Like I say, I had to do that to make sure that I wasn't being confused for a major synthesizer manufacturer. And it means at some point I can get back to selling merch and such to nobody. Alright folks, thanks for dropping by. Monkey, thanks once again for the tip, you're fantastic. And I'll see you guys, if not next week, then the week after. These things are going to be kind of more sporadic because I'm a bit more busy at work, but I will try and keep it at least once a fortnight and see where we go. Okay folks, take care out there, enjoy the hobbying and be excellent to one another. Ta-ta for now.